There's some things that I agree with that, but on the notion that the primary thing that's holding back job creation in the country is coming from these regulations of the last 2 years, there's absolutely no evidence that that's true. So if you take the reason that small business lending dropped is not from Dodd-Frank. It started with the biggest financial crisis of all times, and it has not recovered. Small community banks got squeezed and crushed. Many of the big small business lenders went out of business. If you look at, for example, the surveys of the NFIB, and they ask small businesses, what are the biggest hurdles to your growth? One of the things they ask about is regulation. And it is up under President Obama, but it's not the highest it's ever been. The highest it's ever been was actually in 1994 under Bill Clinton, when regulations, they were putting in lots of regulations, but it was the start of a massive employment boom, the likes of which we have not seen in a long time. And I think there is one thing you gotta, it's almost a religious decision you have to make, but there's two views of what leads to long-term economic growth. One view says we ought to have as little regulation or rules of the road or what have you as possible, as low a tax rate as possible, as little involvement of government as possible. The other side says, not that we want big onerous government, it says, do we need to invest in major public goods like the education and training system of the United States, like the economic infrastructure of the country, like research and development and science and engineering? And if you favor that, it takes money to do that. And so I think that if in your mind you believe that taxes and regulation are the main driver of growth, then ask yourself, why is Silicon Valley in California? California's always been a high tax state. It's always been a high regulation state. Why isn't it in Vanuatu or Kazakhstan or places where the tax on capital gains is zero? So you would think, wow, you can do anything you want to the groundwater on the island of Vanuatu and you don't have to pay any taxes. Why don't great universities move there? Why don't great companies headquarter there?
They're all officially domiciled in Ireland.
They're domiciled in Ireland. And I think the answer is because to attract high-skilled people and to innovate requires a backbone of infrastructure and innovation that involves some aspect of public involvement, let's call it, of public investment.